As South Carolina braces for Hurricane Ian, millions in Florida are picking up the pieces from the damage left in its path. Officials say Ian is likely the largest natural disaster in Florida history. President Joe Biden has already approved a major disaster declaration, allowing survivors in the hardest hit areas to apply for federal disaster assistance to help jumpstart their recovery. Folks, it is widespread damage. We've seen photos of yachts looking like toothpicks that have been emptied out of a bottle, damage all over the place. We also have seen through social media, and we'll show you in a second, some of the damage were hard hit by HBCU Bethune-Cookman. Folks, again, significant damage as a result of this hurricane. Joining us now is Marcus Coleman, the director of the Department of Homeland Security's Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Marcus, glad to have you here. Again, this is one of those moments where you know, look, Republicans can talk about small government. People can say, hey, we don't want the federal government's help. But guess what? When natural disaster strikes, that's when you want the federal government's help. What is already being shifted to Florida to help those impacted?
Well, thank you for having me tonight, Roland. And yes, you're right. It takes all of government to work together. And FEMA has actually been in Florida pre-landfall. So we had staff and commodities pre-positioned. The president declared an emergency declaration long before the storm made landfall, and we have people on the ground today, including FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, who is assessing damage directly on the ground. Here in our National Response Coordination Center, we're coordinating with organizations like the NAACP, the National Urban League. We actually had a group called the Institute for Disasters for Inclusion and Equity and Emergency Management to ensure that we are keeping people first as we move into this next phase of unfortunately, a really long road to recovery.
As I said, you know, when these things happen, I don't care who you are affected. This is a video here from someone on Twitter showing the damage at HBCU Bethune-Cookman, and you see there, you know, structural damage there, a lot of damage there. Bethune-Cookman is a private school, so they're not a public institution. So when it comes to being able to for assistance, just give me an idea of what can a Bethune-Cookman seek from the federal government when it comes to rebuilding.
So we're going to be working alongside our White House HBCU initiative to ensure that Bethune-Cookman and any other institution of higher education knows what resources are available federally. We've done similar outreach for Jackson State University for the recent Jackson water crisis, was in contact with a group called the HBCU Emergency Management Workforce Consortium, all focused on how we support the students, the faculty, and of course the facilities and that historic presence there. And so one of the efforts that we have at FEMA is to come alongside institutions like Bethune-Cookman and ensure, again, their students, those faculty, those staff, those people that keep the university running get the assistance they need, while we also work to make sure that we maintain those institutions moving forward through some of our government programs.
Obviously, there are people who are displaced. We've seen videos of people swimming in their homes where they had several feet of water in their homes. And so when it comes to short-term living assistance, what options are there and what must folks be seeking out?
So we know a number of folks are going to local shelters that are opened by the Red Cross. Also, we know many churches and faith-based organizations are also opening temporary shelters. People are moving to live with friends and family for a temporary time. There's three things that I want to encourage any survivor, any family member that knows someone that's impacted to do. The first, continue to stay connected to the local government officials and their guidance. The second, you can register for disaster assistance now. 1-800-621-3362 is the phone number to get you started on that process of your road to recovery. Look, we know we're going to be here for a long time. I was able to actually spend some time with several faith-based and community-based organizations in Florida earlier this year. And at that meeting, we were talking about some of the disbursements that they were giving financially from Hurricane Irma. So we know, again, folks are going to be recovering for long periods of time, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep the people first in the federal, from a federal government perspective, as we continue to move through this next phase of recovery.
We're talking about how significant the damage is in Florida. This is video right here of the storm surge in Charleston, South Carolina. and how they're impacted, right? We are here in Washington, D.C. The weather forecast shows massive amounts of rain that will hit Washington, D.C. and New York City between now and Wednesday. So even though Florida has taken the brunt of this, as somebody who's lived through numerous hurricanes, being born and raised in Houston, the aftermath of the hurricane can still cause considerable damage when it comes to rain, when it comes to flooding, when it comes to high winds, ripping roofs off. And so people's lives can still be in danger, even though the hurricane may actually diminish something.
You're absolutely right. And it's one of the reasons why at FEMA we are trying to work through the broader coalition of partners that we have. Again, I mentioned some, the NAACP, National Urban League. I was on a call last night with several bishops of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, was on a call this morning with the bishop from the Full Gospel Baptist Church. We recognize that across faith and community leaders in that coalition, we do need to make sure that people are prepared. To your point, right, we're coming up on the anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. And so it's one of the reasons why, in addition to making sure that we're focused on equity in response and recovery, we want to continue to be culturally competent in how we talk about preparedness as well for communities. And so we are providing that guidance. People can access that information on how to prepare at ready.gov. But again, if you have anybody that's on the line that's listening and can hear my voice, that's looking to get jump started on their road to recovery, 1-800-621-3362. That's the number to call to start the process to get some of the federal resources that you need for your household and your family.
All right, Marcus Coleman with the Department of Homeland Security. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Roland.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?